$2,805 a month. That is the gap between a 50% and a 100% mental health rating, tax-free, and it can turn on a single conversation in a small exam room. And there is one set of questions inside that exam that quietly decides which rung you land on, even though almost nobody walks in knowing the questions exist.
Hi all, I'm Erica, and that gap is real money. At 50%, a veteran alone draws $1,132.90 a month, and at 100%, it is $3,938.58.
Today we go deeper than the usual keep your rating advice. We are stepping inside the actual mental health exam, into the small room where that money gap is quietly decided.
Hey everyone, Chris here. Here's the part most people miss. The rating is not built on your diagnosis. It is built on how much the condition impairs your work life and your social life.
Which is why two veterans with the very same diagnosis can walk out with very different checks, Chris. The label is the same. The life impact is what splits them.
Right, Erica, so the examiner is not really grading whether you have post-traumatic stress. They are grading how deep it cuts into the ordinary stuff, holding a job, keeping friends, getting through a normal week.
And that single design choice is why this exam rewards clarity over courage. The veteran who calmly describes the ordinary damage gets a fair read. The one who toughs it out and says nothing gets coded as fine.
This is Cynthia, and the trap here breaks my heart a little. Veterans want to look like they are coping, so on exam day, they describe a good day. That answer feels honest, but it quietly knocks them down a rung.
Erica, you have been sitting on the question we see under almost every video on this topic. Go ahead and put it to the room.
Yes, and it is the one everybody whispers. People ask, how do I answer honestly without accidentally underselling how bad it actually gets on a normal day?
That is exactly where we are headed. Honesty is the whole strategy, and by the end you will know what the examiner is listening for and how to describe your real week without ever exaggerating. There is one phrase the VA repeats at every single rating level, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. Occupational and social impairment.
It comes straight out of the Regulation 38 Code of Federal Regulations, Section 4.130. Every mental condition, from depression to post-traumatic stress, is rated on the same single ladder of impairment, and the rungs are defined by words, not by a symptom checklist. The examiner picks the rung whose description best matches the life you describe.
30% is the gentlest rung. The regulation says occasional decrease in work efficiency, with the veteran generally functioning satisfactorily. Routine behavior, conversation, and self-care are normal.
50% is the middle. The exact phrase is reduced reliability and productivity. Think showing up but dropping the ball, missing deadlines, snapping at coworkers, forgetting tasks you used to nail.
70% is the rung where most of the money fight actually happens. The regulation calls it deficiencies in most areas of life: work and family relations, judgment, thinking, and mood.
And notice the jump in language there, Nova. 50% is reduced reliability, 70% is deficiencies in most areas. That word most is doing a lot of work, and the examiner is weighing it.
Then 100% is total occupational and social impairment, not just struggling, unable to hold work and unable to maintain relationships at all.
Let me make those four rungs visible as money, because the words feel abstract until you see what each one pays.
Here is this year's ladder for a veteran alone, every rung tax-free. 30% pays $552 a month. 50%, $1,133. 70% jumps to $1,808. And 100% reaches $3,938.58 a month.
So the distance between two of those rungs is the difference between covering rent and not. That is why the words you use to describe a normal week matter so much.
And look at where the steepest climb sits. From 50 to 70 is about $675 a month. But from 70 to 100 is another $2,130 a month.
Which tells you something important, Chris. The 100% rung is reserved for genuinely severe, total impairment. Most honest claims for depression or post-traumatic stress land at the 50 or 70 mark, and that is exactly where they should land.
Notice the real lesson. Two veterans can list the exact same symptoms and land two rungs apart because one described the impact on their life and one only listed the symptoms.
And that is not the examiner being unfair, Nova. They cannot rate a feeling they were never shown. They can only rate the picture the veteran paints with real, concrete detail.
Which is why we are spending this whole episode on the words, not on tricks. There are no tricks here. There is only describing your true week accurately enough that the right rung is obvious.
Before we keep going, one small favor that actually moves the needle. If this is landing for you, tap like, then subscribe and turn on the bell so you do not miss the rest. 2 taps, completely free, and it pushes this in front of more people who need it.
Let us actually sit down in that exam room because the questions are gentler and more ordinary than people expect, and that is exactly what makes them easy to fumble. A compensation and pension exam for a mental disorder is done by a qualified VA or contract mental health provider. There are 2 halves to it: what happened to you in service and what your life looks like right now.
And the present life half is where the rating gets decided. 3 threads run through every question. How often does it happen? How bad does it get? And how long does it last?
Hold on to those 3 threads because they map straight onto the regulation, Chris. Once a week versus near continuous is the whole difference between 2 rungs. So when you answer how often, you are quietly choosing your rating.
So when they ask about your week, they are really mapping you onto those rungs from the regulation. Can you work, concentrate, and actually finish a task you start?
The second cluster is social. Do you keep up friendships? Do you still talk to family? Do you leave the house? Do you avoid crowds? Isolation is one of the loudest signals the examiner records.
Now here is the mechanical part that decides everything. The examiner writes your answers onto a disability benefits questionnaire, and that form has a single checkbox for your level of occupational and social impairment.
For mental disorders other than post-traumatic stress, it is Form 21-0960P2. For an initial post-traumatic stress exam, it is Form 21-0960P4. One box on that form is your rung.
Picture Sergeant Reyes, an Army medic 6 years out, sitting in that chair. The examiner asks how work is going. Reyes wants to look squared away, so he says, "It is fine, I manage."
But the truth is Reyes has been written up twice for missing deadlines and eats lunch alone in his truck to avoid people. I am fine, erase every bit of that. The examiner can only code what they hear.
So the fix is not to inflate anything. The fix is to translate I am fine into the real specific week. Written up twice, eats alone in the truck. That is the same honest man, finally described accurately.
And notice what the examiner is told to do, which most veterans never hear. They consider the combined effect of every service-connected mental condition together. They do not split which symptom came from depression and which came from post-traumatic stress.
Which means you describe your whole week as you actually live it, Erica. Not one neat diagnosis at a time. The cumulative weight of all of it is what gets rated, and that is fair to the veteran.
Here is the single rule that holds this whole episode together, and it cuts against the most common advice you will hear online.
A lot of voices tell veterans to describe their worst day ever. We disagree gently but firmly. Describe a normal bad day instead, not your best and not your worst. Chris, I think you have the question every veteran is shouting at the screen right now.
I do, Cynthia. If my worst day is the most honest one, then why is describing it the wrong move?
Fair question, Chris, and the answer is the regulation itself. The examiner is rating your usual level of function, not your single hardest hour. A worst-only picture can also collapse under a future review exam when you happen to be having an ordinary day.
That review exam risk is the part people forget, Cynthia. A rating built on one dramatic snapshot is fragile. A rating built on your true average holds up for years.
And there is a harder reason to stay honest, beyond it just being right. The numbers tempt people. Let me show you the gap that does the tempting.
Take the 50 to 100% jump for a veteran alone this year. Start at the 100% check. Now subtract what the 50% rating already pays, $1,132.90 a month. The monthly gap is $2,805.68. Annualized, that is roughly $33,668 a year, tax-free.
That is a life-changing number, and that is exactly why the line matters. Translating "I am fine" into your real week is honest. Inventing symptoms you do not have is not.
And the difference is easy to feel once you name it, Chris. Honest is reporting the recital you left early. Dishonest is claiming hallucinations you have never had to reach for the top rung. One is your life, the other is a story.
And the law is not soft on it. Under 38 United States Code, Section 6103, knowingly giving a false statement on a claim can forfeit every right and benefit you have, and a debt built on fraud cannot be waived.
And I want to say something to the veteran who is scared of this exam, Erica. You are not gaming a system by describing your hard days. You earn the right to be assessed accurately. Telling the truth plainly is exactly what the exam is for.
So hear the whole point clearly. The honest answer is also the strong answer. You do not need to embellish, because an accurate, specific account of a normal bad day usually lands exactly where it should. We wanted someone who has read thousands of these exam notes to pressure test our advice, so we are calling in a specialist who knows the mental health compensation process inside and out.
Our community keeps asking one version of the same thing, so I will put it to our guest directly.
Let me get them on the line now. The question on the table is simple. How do you answer honestly without underselling a normal bad day?
Glad to be on. And it is the right question, because the most common reason a deserving claim lands a rung low is not lying, it is modesty. Veterans round themselves up to fine.
Modesty. That is not the word people expect. So what does the fix look like in the chair?
My guidance is concrete. Answer the question that was asked, then give one real example. If asked about work, do not say it is okay. Say, I was written up twice last quarter for missing deadlines.
So the example is the whole game. The adjective fine is invisible to the rating. The specific event is the evidence.
That is it exactly, Chris. A rater sitting in a regional office months later never meets you. They only have the words on the form. A concrete event survives that distance, but a vague mood does not.
So the specificity is not for drama, it is for the record. Is that fair, Harlan?
Perfectly fair. And bring a short symptom log you wrote before exam day when you were calm and could think clearly. On exam day, memory and pride both work against you.
That matches what we see constantly, Harlan. Veterans walk out of the exam and only then remember the panic attack at the grocery store or the nights they did not sleep. The log catches all of that before the moment passes.
What about the days a veteran genuinely cannot describe themselves when the avoidance is the symptom?
That is where a spouse or a battle buddy statement earns its keep. The people around you see the days you black out on. Their account fills the gaps you cannot.
I love that because it takes the whole weight off the veteran's shoulders. You do not have to narrate your worst moments perfectly. Someone who loves you can speak to them.
But let me draw the same hard line you did, Cynthia. Describe the average bad day truthfully. Do not borrow a worse veteran's symptoms. An invented picture cracks, and on a review exam, it can cost the whole claim.
Quick push, Harlan. What if exam day is honestly a good day?
Good challenge, so they say exactly that. Tell the examiner, today is a rare good day, and here is what last Tuesday actually looked like. Honesty about a good day is still honesty.
That lines up with everything we have said. Honest, specific, and steady across a normal week beats dramatic every time. Thank you for walking through it with us, Harlan.
Let us turn all of this into one plan you could actually run before your next exam, because a clear plan is what turns honesty into a fair rating. And I am a coach, so we are doing this as 5 reps. Step 1 happens days before, not in the chair. In a calm week, write a short symptom log. This is your first rep. 15 minutes with a notebook beats any clever answer on exam day.
And keep that log honest in both directions, Chris. Write the hard days, but do not dress them up. The goal is your true average on paper before pride can edit it.
Exactly. Step 2. Fill that log with concrete events, not adjectives. Not anxious. Instead, left my daughter's recital early because the crowd closed in on me.
Step 3. Ask one person who lives the hard days with you to write a short statement. A spouse, a sibling, a battle buddy. They remember what your pride edits out.
Step 4. On exam day, answer the question that was asked and then add one specific example. Step 5. Anchor everything to your normal bad day, never the best and never the worst.
And if you only manage one of those 5, make it the log. Even 3 honest lines on a notepad written the week before will carry you through the questions that catch people off guard.
Here is my verdict, and I want to be plain about it. The honest path wins, and it wins for everyone, not just the cautious.
The dramatic worst day route looks tempting because of that $33,000 gap, but it carries 2 real costs. It can collapse at a review exam, and at its extreme it becomes fraud under federal law.
And here is who each path really fits. If you have been underselling yourself out of pride, the honest path actually raises your rating because you finally describe the damage. If you were tempted to embellish, the honest path protects you from losing everything later.
The honest, specific, normal bad day account has neither cost and usually lands exactly where the regulation says it should. So if you remember one thing, remember this. You do not have to perform your pain. You have to describe it accurately. Let us bring it home. The mental health rating turns on occupational and social impairment. The examiner codes one box for your rung, and the honest, specific account of a normal bad day is both the right answer and the strongest one.
Here is what you keep from tonight. Open a notes app and write 3 concrete events from your last hard week. That one page walks into your exam with you and does more than any rehearsed line.
Next time, wait until you see what a single buddy statement can do. It is the one piece of lay evidence that quietly swings more mental health claims than veterans realize.
And if this helped even a little, that is the whole reason we make these. You served honestly. Describe your struggles honestly too.
If you want more plain English VA breakdowns like this one, hit like and subscribe so the next veteran finds it before their exam, not after. And before you go, tell us in the comments. What is the one question you wish someone had warned you about before your C&P exam? Cross-domain analogies are cheat codes. Collect them.
Nova, that was the kind of teaching I usually charge for. 9 out of 10. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.